expression and desperate bravado is unmistakable.
Keep talking, and you'll be smelling iron. Ain't nobody so important I won't put a bullet in him.
When you go off and get yourself shot, try to avoid taking one to the face. I'll want it recognizable to show to my citizens.
Я починил это дерьмо. Я его починил.
My word! You've correctly identified the most recognizable man in the colony. Remarkable. It's a wonder what Phineas saw in you. Then again...
Вот грязная сволочь, мы еще посмотрим, да? Ну, Финеас скорее помер, чем пошел бы на сделку.
Yes, he is an extraordinarily obstinate fellow, isn't he? But that's between us. As far as my adoring citizens will know, we've turned a dangerous crackpot into... Oh yes, go on, wake them up, add more I don't know what half-baked plans that simpleton in a lab coat has been leading you through. Let me ask you something, Captain. Have you at any point thought about not fucking up our entire...
Are you kidding me? We're out here...
I'm making actual progress towards stabilization and recovery. You're just getting in the way.
Знаете, мне бы пришлось ломать ваш режим, если бы вы хоть что-то... Если бы вы хоть чуть-чуть шли на контакт. Значит, вас устраивает, что колония летит под откос? Я смогу все исправить.
This we don't.
Бля, вообще не хватает ничего, ни запуги, ни ложь. Ложь 90, запуги не 90, охереть. Откуда мне столько взять-то?
We'll have to agree.
А чё, не? Не вариант? Не будешь со мной? На контакт идти. Так, ложь 79. Мне столько, наверное, даже... Бля, из-за фобии роботской, сука. Не работает. Ложь 83.
А
если бы я сожрал что-нибудь, кстати. У меня же есть вот эта хрень. И где там у нас? Допустим. Так, нажму F9. Так, сейчас смотрим еще раз. 79, да? Одеваем шляпу. Шляпу одеваем. Дальше что? Дальше. Телесные показатели. Потом личностные показатели. И что-то еще было, да? Телесные, личностные, ну-ка, персонаж, навыки. Бля, ложь чуть-чуть совсем не хватает. 87. Да то убеждение, 95, погнали.
Well.
О, убеждение есть. Так, с вашими ресурсами и помощью, ребят, с надеждой мы многого добились бы.
I'll admit, there's no shortage of... Look, I'm not an unreasonable man. If you manage to storm the castle, as it were, I can't exactly afford more than I've already caused. Fine. If you survive, you'll need something.
Are you out of your mind? Rockwell's the biggest monster in House. I've had enough. You even think about cooperating?
Так, ну все, не надо. Твоя верность сильнее подхалимов со стороны Роквелла.
If you're gonna place more faith on this brat than the...
Ну ладно, пошел ты нахуй, короче. И бали вы меня все здесь уже. Open fire!
You, ain't feeling jittery, are you? 'Cause I'm not.
Take a breath now, folks. Once we're up there, I suspect we ain't gonna have time to stop shooting.
Captain, you have an uncanny talent.
Завали,
You've been
дурочка.
working with Dr. Wells from the beginning. You've disrupted the balance of power. You've upset the...
Все кончено, София. Вам пора выйти из игры. Мы освободим Алкион, и вы нас не остановите. Хрен вам.
I'm afraid you have a flair for subtlety. If you'd work for all your talents.
Да мне насрать на тебя. Мне нужен Филиус, отпустите его.
Our partnership is behind us. You had your chance. Dr. Wells is being held in my custody. All that's left to do is put down this riot, arrest... Fair enough.
О, блядь, хуеть, убеждение сотка. Запугивание 90, тяжелое оружие 60, двуручное 90, охуеть.
This prison is equipped with an automechanical... And don't worry.
Нихера себе, ты что захотела? Столько всего. Хо-хо, у меня столько нет. Тяжелое оружие 37-50. Двуручное, точнее. Не-не-не-не-не-не-не-не-не. Как закончится, так и закончится. Черт с вами, блядь, надоели вы мне уже все здесь. Этими багами, вылетами нахуй. И сюда, пентюх вонючий, блядь. Оп, пошел. А ну сюда иди, сыкло. О, пошел. В смысле, а как вы сдохли-то все? А как я сдох? Кто же знал, что последний босс будет робот? Я бы тогда не брал эту хуйню, личностные показатели. Так, сожрать, восстановить здоровье. Сопротивление брони. Так, восстановление, показатель разума. Показатель разума, скорость движения, скорость атаки. Вот это возьмем нахрен. Ты заебал, ты умрешь нахуй или нет, а? Бесишь меня уже. Где ты, ебливый робот, сдохни-то уже. Сдох. Фу, да. Это, конечно, мощно. Короче, я так и не понял, что сломано было. Знаешь, что я сделал, как почитал в интернете? Там чувак один написал, если у вас выкидывает, вы можете вернуться немножко назад. И там, где типа обрыв к двери на выход, вы можете пройти по желтым перилам аккуратненько. Я запрыгнул на эти перила, пробежал к выходу из кабинета этого председателя и зашел в этот кабинет с другой стороны, и все нормально. Прикинь? И все. Вот такая хрень, короче. Ты чё, сука, сразу стрелять? Давай-то пообщаемся. Все. Ой, я ей руку отрубил. Да и не говори, ты полный пиздец. Отношения коллеги со страхом. Ну ты чокнутый. Придумай что-нибудь, как отблагодарить меня. С тобой все хорошо? Что они тебе сделали?
All in a day's work for you, huh? You and I are going to have to work harder than...
Я только что отрыл пивка. На земле наступила тишина. Ого. Прикольно. Земля затихла 3 года назад.
They've been incredibly effective at concealing the truth. Right now, the only people in the colony who know are standing in this room.
So we've got to make do on our own. Seems to me that'll...
You're quite right. We're in serious trouble, my friend. Do you know what this means for Halcyon? We can't rely on...
Нужно много всего сделать. Не будем терять время.
Yes, you're right. We must begin the revival process immediately, starting with the hopes of bright... We're going to need a leader, and I can't imagine a better person for the job than you.
Конечно, блядь, естественно. Кому-то нужно брать колонии, кроме меня не осталось никого. Можно меня рассчитывать, я помогу, я буду делать так же, то же, что и всегда. Очень мороженку хочется.
I can't... When I revived you, I thought we were going... We can't save Halcyon on our own. We are not a colony anymore. Our last connection...
The OSI teaches that
Это все, что
everything
ли?
in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists
Не, ну, в принципе, мы сделали то, что должны были сделать. Оживили колонистов, в принципе, ну и все. А что еще ожидать-то?
They had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival.
Ну так постепенно же они живут, там же было написано. Сначала некоторых, потом остальных со временем.
In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. Sanjar's civil liberties and worker-centric policies were slow to catch on with the other corporations. But as Halcyon began its long, arduous journey toward recovery, many of Terra 2's smaller townships started adopting MSI's alternative corporate structure, and eventually became entirely self-sufficient. In the coming years, many of these townships managed to
Да мне вообще похуй, Женя, как кончилась игра, так и кончилась. В Ютубе посмотрю остальные концовки, я так всегда делаю.
Lilia Hagen took Sublight Salvage in a controversial direction, openly accusing board officials of an extraterrestrial conspiracy. One day, an accident.
У тебя такая же концовка была или нет? Мне устраивает она, в принципе. Я другого ничего не ожидал.
Adelaide McDevitt replaced Reed Thompson as the leader of Edgewater. She and her followers transformed Edgewater in their image. Anyone loyal to Reed was pressured into leaving town, and those who stayed behind adapted to her way of life. Adelaide transformed the old cannery into a new garden. The nearby Edgewater Cemetery provided a convenient source of fertilizer. It was said that the first corpse that fed her garden belonged to Reed Thompson. Under the leadership of Junlei Tennyson, the groundbreaker held firm against corporate influence. The ship's mechanical stability gave Junlei the time to educate a promising generation of engineers, schooled in her family's traditions. The future of the groundbreaker looks promising. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxury, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs. It was a dark time indeed. Your influence shifted Ellie's perspective. She finally admitted, albeit grudgingly, that she just might need other people.
Бля, долго это еще смотреть?
With a steady income from the life insurance payouts, she was finally able to afford a ship of her own. She hired a small crew and flew supply missions to communities on the fringe. Some of them were even legal. Life in Halcyon was sobering for Felix Maelstrom. The grand revolution he dreamed of never came. There was no great awakening for the colony, no celebrations in the streets. There was only the hard, desperate work of trying to repair a broken colony. Felix never had a head for numbers, but if there was labor to be done,
Я не хотел читать концовку, я хотел смотреть ее.
Eventually, Felix realized that the work of a revolution was done with two hands. As much as he enjoyed his adventures aboard the Unreliable, the vicar, known as Max, eventually decided that it was time to move on, to live out the life he had sought so long to create. He knew there were many in the colony who carried burdens much worse than the ones he had struggled with, and he devoted himself to easing their suffering wherever he could. He only ever took up arms again to defend the defenseless. Unshackled from a lifetime of striving and fighting the universe and himself, Vicar Maximilian de Soto was finally at peace. Once the matter with the Hope colonists was resolved, Junlei bashfully asked Parvati if she'd like to join her permanently on the Groundbreaker, and Parvati enthusiastically, if somewhat awkwardly, agreed. The stories of her adventures spread across the colony, and Parvati found herself the center of attention. Having served as the engineer of a renowned spacecraft, tramp freighters and wildcat miners
никогда не расставали, господи, как прекрасно, аж плакать хочется.
She was a fixture in the Groundbreaker's mechanical ecosystem. She and Junlei were never far apart. Nyoka returned to Monarch to take another crack at making a permanent life for herself. She formed the Charon Group, an MSI subsidiary of ragtag survivalists and wilderness experts. Anyone in need of a guide, or just looking to throw back a beer and swap stories, could find her camping on the trail, or clearing an infestation. The SAM unit that accompanied you spread awareness of the product line's superior sanitation.
Бля, они даже про робота написали историю, ну пиздец.
Across what was left of the colony. This led to a boost in SAM unit sales. Did you know that SAM units are the longest-lasting, toughest-acting cleaning solution in Halcyon? Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. Though he was always haunted by the failures of his past, he was determined to make things right by building toward the future. The revival project was hard and painful work, but in the end, despite limited resources,
вернуть к жизни больше половины колонистов, Женя.
Even after Wells passed away, the Hope scientists and engineers worked night and day to pull Halcyon from the brink of collapse.
Больше
Their efforts
половины.
continue to this day, which may be reason enough for optimism. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later. His work was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Life will never be the same in Halcyon. It is widely agreed that the colony has a chance of stabilizing within a generation, owing to the hard work and determination of the surviving colonists. Recovery is a distant goal, and the path is long and uncertain. But the people of Halcyon carry on, determined as ever. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? Long after Wells passed away, you carried on his work with more energy, determination, and brilliance than he could ever muster. The years that followed were hard, but Halcyon survived by the efforts of the Hope's most promising colonists, the greatest of which was you. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this. The name of the Unreliable
Вот и
and that of its intrepid
сказочки
captain
конец.
will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.
Ну, все интересно. Ладненько. Я, в принципе, доволен. Если бы не это чтение в конце. А так, в основном, все нормально. Закончилась игра хорошо. Сейчас в Ютубе еще посмотрю, что было бы, если за коллегию. И, в принципе, можно спать спокойно. Ой, ладно, только у меня жопа, конечно, загорелась в конце с этими вылетами. А так все нормально.